Hello again to another Agakala React. And it's 23rd January. And on 23rd January 1368, that's a long time ago, in a coronation ceremony, now I'm gonna mispronounce something because I can't speak Chinese. Zhu Liangjiang, I'm presuming at age of 40, ascends to the throne of China as the Hongwu Emperor, and that initiated Ming Dynasty rule over China that lasted for more than 3 centuries. So we're gonna watch the Ming Dynasty, 3 centuries of a flourishing culture and power from knowledge journey. And let's just get into it and see how the Ming Dynasty kinda got to power and how good they were, or bad. Although I think they're actually bad. Good. It says flourishing culture in.
What exactly is a dynasty? In the most basic sense, it's a succession of rulers from the same family or group that retain power for multiple generations. Dynasties are a crucial part of civilization, providing stability, continuity, and principles that hold a society together over long periods of time.
I think whoever hears dynasty thinks automatically of someone getting power
the mighty
from
Ming Dynasty of China, lasting nearly 300 years, from 1368 to 1644. The Ming Dynasty was one of the greatest periods in China's long imperial history.
Good to hear.
In this video,
paintings
we'll explore what made the Ming Dynasty so monumental, and how it revived Han Chinese rule after centuries of Mongol dominance. Han Chinese rule refers to periods when China was governed by native ethnic Han dynasties rather than minority groups like Mongols or Manchus.
Where's that?
Trust me, this is a fascinating civilization you don't want to miss. To understand the significance of the Ming Dynasty, we first need to learn about its founder, Zhu Yuanzhang. Zhu was born a peasant in the 1330s during the chaotic late Yuan dynasty ruled by the Mongols. As hunger, diseases, and wars ravaged China, Zhu joined a Buddhist monastery, learning to read and write. When rebels rose up against the Mongols, Zhu joined the rebellion, gaining renown as a skilled military commander. Through alliances, conquests, and sheer tactical brilliance, Zhu united the rebels under his control and captured the Yuan capital of Nanjing in 1356. After the last Yuan emperor fled north in 1368, Nanjing became the capital of the new Ming Dynasty proclaimed by the victorious Zhu. Now known as the Hongwu Emperor, Zhu was ready to rebuild China after a century of Mongol rule.
Good. Look at this, that looks cool.
The early Ming Dynasty oversaw a magnificent revival of Han Chinese culture, science, and technology. The arts flourished, including drama, poetry, and novels like Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Neo-Confucianism expanded and became the state doctrine, emphasizing ethics and virtues. To restore agriculture, the Hongwu Emperor initiated vast irrigation projects like repairing and expanding the famed Dujiangyan irrigation system to provide water to its citizens. These projects boosted crop yields for a growing population. Long-distance trade routes were reestablished across China.
So he was taking care of the people as well, not just of his own.
The economy and commercial activity boomed. As historian Charles Hucker put it, the Muromachi period in Japan, the Majapahit era in Indonesia, and the golden age of the Ottoman Empire, these were the times of the Ming in China. Now that we've covered the origins of the Ming Dynasty, it's time to explore the formidable military forces that preserved stability and expanded Ming influence across Eastern Asia. At its peak, the Ming military included over 1 million troops.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was far larger than contemporary European kingdoms. But how did this gigantic army operate? After founding the Ming Dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang centralized all armed forces under his direct imperial command. This ensured loyalty first and foremost to the emperor, and reduced regional divisions. The Ming military was organized under the 5 army commands headquartered around the capital. This consisted of armies based in Beijing, garrisons guarding the Great Wall, and mobile combat divisions that could be deployed for offensives. Troops were recruited from all over China. Soldiers often served in units grouped by their home province to inspire unity.
There you go.
Cavalry,
that's not a bad idea,
infantry,
I think.
naval forces, and specialized units were all part of the mighty
Look at
Ming
that
arsenal.
Massive boat. A ship.
Ming forces utilized advanced weaponry like early firearm prototypes and early cannon batteries.
Well, that's
Cavalry wielded
came
sabers,
from, isn't it?
pikes, recurve bows that could pierce armor. Infantry used swords, polearms, crossbows, and shields in a balanced combined arms approach. training focused on discipline and cohesion. Units drilled in formations daily, practicing tactical maneuvers like pincer movements. A code of military justice punished deserters and traitors harshly to motivate troops. Through this disciplined system, the Ming became a dominant land power in Asia and repelled threats like Mongol raiders from the north. At sea, the Ming Navy secured trade routes and enforced naval supremacy in eastern waters through the 15th century. The lavish treasure fleet voyages led by Admiral Zheng He projected Ming power with massive ships armed with cannons and thousands of troops. In later years, Wokou pirates from Japan raided the Chinese coast and rivers. Extensive naval campaigns eventually destroyed the Wokou, though some coastal threats remained. Over time, Ming military power became strained by economic decline, corruption, and growing peasant unrest. Frontier garrisons were neglected as funds went to the lavish lifestyles of emperors. Manchu raiders from the north eventually breached the Great Wall as border defenses weakened. By the mid-1600s, the once invincible Ming military had grown hollow, unable to quell the rebel forces that ultimately toppled the dynasty.
They got comfortable.
Despite its decline, at its zenith, the Ming military stood as a model of discipline, organization, and effectiveness for its time. The dynasty prioritized defense but also projected power into Inner Asia, Maritime Asia, and as far as the Indian Ocean. For nearly 3 centuries, Ming military institutions provided stability within China despite challenges like pirates abroad and crime at home. Its legacy and innovations influenced Asian warfare for generations, leaving a lasting impact like many other aspects of this grand imperial dynasty. At its height under the Yongle Emperor, the Ming Dynasty controlled one of the largest empires in human history, spanning over 5 million square miles. How did it amass such enormous territory and influence? After overthrowing the Mongol-led Yuan Dynasty, the Ming spent decades pacifying northern China and fortifying the Great Wall to secure against Mongol incursions. Massive military campaigns pressed into Mongolia itself to destroy remnant Yuan forces. This greatly expanded Ming control over the north. In the south, Admiral Zheng He's naval voyages projected Ming power into Southeast Asia, India, Arabia, and the East African coast.
It's awesome.
Though not directly controlling this maritime realm, the Ming asserted naval dominance and expanded tribute trade networks. Westward, Ming armies conquered vast regions like Yunnan, Guizhou, and Tibet. These remote, rugged areas were garrisoned with military colonies and administered by imperial bureaucrats. Their tribute enriched the Ming court. By the early 1500s, the Ming Dynasty had established itself as the dominant power in East Asia, laying the foundations for flourishing trade and diplomacy.
Okay. There you go.
Now let's explore 2 areas where Ming China truly stood out on the world stage: culture and diplomacy. In architecture, the Forbidden City emerged as the massive imperial palace complex at the heart of Beijing. Meticulously planned according to philosophies like feng shui, it remains one of the largest palace complexes on Earth. In exploration, massive naval expeditions led by Admiral Zheng He ventured as far as Africa, centuries before European ships reached that continent. This diplomacy established the Ming as a maritime powerhouse. Finally, in philosophy, arts and literature surged thanks to stability and affluence. This led to classics like Journey to the West, and anthologies of poetry and drama that are still beloved today. The vibrant Ming era was not to last. By the late 1500s, many factors challenged Ming's stability. Corruption plagued the bureaucratic government and tax system. Hunger struck while emperors hoarded wealth. Society stagnated. Peasant revolts erupted, including the rebellion led by Li Zicheng in the 1640s. Li's rebel forces rapidly gained strength, capturing the ancient capitals of Luoyang and
people had the power thing that
Soon they marched on Beijing itself.
Yeah.
In April 1644, Beijing fell to Li Zicheng, the last Ming emperor committed suicide, and the dynasty collapsed. But the end of the Ming was only the beginning of one of the most captivating stories in Chinese history, paving the way for the Manchu conquest and the new Qing dynasty. Beyond sheer geographic reach, the Ming Dynasty left an enduring cultural legacy that continues to shape Chinese society. Here are some prominent examples. Neo-Confucian philosophy that emphasized morality and governance became firmly entrenched in education and politics. Beijing's iconic architecture,
seems like
the Temple
later
of
on
Heaven,
they
stemmed from
didn't
Ming
really go
design
with it, huh?
principles. Porcelain production techniques advanced to meet booming export demand, setting the stage for China's porcelain dominance. Publishing expanded, helping novels and detailed encyclopedias reach wider audiences across China. Cuisine became more complex with new techniques and recipes. Many famous Chinese dishes trace their origins to the Ming imperial kitchens. So in summary, the expanse of Ming territory and trade networks allowed Chinese culture to permeate surrounding societies more deeply than ever before. This cultural exchange and innovation under the stable Ming Dynasty enriched China's civilization and left traditions that resonate to this day.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when the culture, not
Before
culture, but the
concluding
whole
our
thing
journey
is
through the remarkable Ming era,
stable.
I want to highlight some fascinating facts that aren't as widely known. The Ming Dynasty had one of the earliest professional postal systems in the world.
What? I
with
never heard
thousands of
about it. That's
postal
something new
stations
just now
across
for me.
China.
There you go.
This enabled swift communication across their vast
See?
realm. Ming Taizu, the dynasty's founder, was originally a Buddhist monk before rebelling against the Mongols and establishing the Ming. This Buddhist education influenced his leadership. In the arts, Ming porcelain often portrayed Islamic motifs and Persian language, reflecting the dynasty's cosmopolitan engagement with Western and Central Asia.
There you go.
While foot binding became more common for women during the Ming, some prominent Ming empresses openly criticized and campaigned against the practice. Despite isolationist policies later in the dynasty, the Ming court received envoys from overseas powers as distant as Portugal, Ethiopia, Brunei, and Borneo. With those intriguing facts in mind, let's recap the key lessons from the Ming
They're
Dynasty.
like in
Its founder,
wars?
Zhu Yuanzhang, rose from peasant rebel to unify China under Confucian Han Chinese rule after centuries of Mongol Yuan dynasty control. The early Ming oversaw a cultural flourishing, including architectural marvels like the Forbidden
thing that he
City
said, the
and
yearly
naval
one.
expeditions to Africa and
And
beyond.
the later on, obviously, that's
The
the
Ming
going on the
military
decline.
constructed massive border fortifications like the Great Wall, while also projecting power overseas to become the supreme force in Eastern Asia. Economic and cultural exchange along trade routes nurtured growth in crafts, agriculture, and the arts like drama and literature. Gradual decline due to corruption, peasant revolts, and weakening defenses against northern raiders led to the Ming's eventual downfall after almost 300 years of imperial power. The Ming left an enduring legacy and remains one of the great dynasties that shaped China's civilization. Its accomplishments propelled China into a prosperous early modern era, setting the stage for future triumphs. I hope you enjoyed this exploration of the magnificent Ming Dynasty. Let me know in the comments what aspect fascinated you the most.
I think the post office thing. That's the first time I heard about it. Never heard about the fact that there was a post offices, like not post offices, obviously they probably were called a bit differently, but still that they were established there already so early in history. Will absolutely make total sense for the fact that, well, the man that started the Ming Dynasty seems like he was coming from peasant, so he was born into poverty as well himself. So he rose and he seen and he knew what people need. People as in community, the whole China, the people of China, not just people that they are at power. That's what I think anyway. I might be mistaken, but you know. So that was interesting. But yeah, the post office thing, quite mind-blowing. Yeah. Did you learn something new? Did you knew about that post office services during the Ming Dynasty in China? Because I never heard about it before. I'm not saying I know much about Chinese history. That's the thing. Maybe that's why. But still, that was cool. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.